What's up, fight fans? We are heading all the way to Sydney, Australia this weekend with some absolutely outstanding matchups. Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland, rematch, world title, main event. This is one you're not going to want to miss. And just for you, to make this fight night even better, I have teamed up with DraftKings to bring you all a great offer right now. DraftKings is giving all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after they place a wager for just $5. So don't wait. Download the DraftKings app. Do it right now. When you sign up, use the code SONNEN. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Stay in on the action. Use your $200 in bonus bets for same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. You can combine multiple bets together from the same fight. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy for a shot to win cash prizes. I want you to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. When you sign up, place in at least a $5 wager, use the promo code SONNEN. Get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code SONNEN only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Paddy Pimblett chokes a guy out. Now, they agreed on the rules. These were two fighters, and they worked out the rules. The who, what, when, why, and where. They agreed to them, and then they followed those rules. But here's the thing. So, if you're looking at the situation with Paddy, and I want you to look at it, I want you to judge. I want you to be judgmental of this and the behaviors that are around it. But if you're going to judge it, it is very important that you understand Paddy and Dennis had an agreement, and both guys believe that all the rules and the policy of their agreement was honored. So first off, I just got to say to this Dennis guy, that's great. That really is great stuff that Dennis could lose that match, have the sympathy of the internet, and refuse to take it because the rules, was it a bet that they made? The rules were followed. Now, and I got to tell you that because I'm not coming down on Paddy. I'm just telling you, for me, I'm a real prude on this stuff, and it can get a little bit complex. Like, can you do that in the confines of a mixed martial arts practice room if you're following the rules of an agreement of two guys that are there to settle their competition? It can get very interesting. Listen, don't give me your opinion yet. Stay with me. Let me just give you a little bit of precedence. A coach, very well known, outstanding coach and human being. Two kids come to the wrestling room and they grab boxing gloves. Now, that wasn't a normal occurrence. They did a lot of boxing in this room. It was a high school wrestler, but they did a lot of boxing. They had conditioning and they kind of worked out. So they had the equipment. They had the space. They would do this with each other. So the coach is there. Coach sees it. No problem. Hey, how are you? And how are you? And they get the gloves and they go out and they do their boxing thing. The coach was banned from ever returning to the facility. I mean, not only did he lose his job, he could not return to the facility. And do you want to know why? The decision makers here did not have a problem with those kids boxing. They did not have a problem with those kids getting in the wrestling room with the boxing gloves and working out. The problem came because the kids earlier in the day had a dispute. And they decided they were going to settle that dispute in the wrestling room with the boxing gloves. That changed everything. So now, at least according to this situation and the decision makers, it did not come to what physically happened. They looked at something different, which is why. And I'm only bringing this to you because can you do MMA in a practice room? Yes. Can you run a practice that turns into a competition where the rules of which that you have structured do make it very clear that a competition is taking place? Can you do that? Can you do that without a promoter's license? Can you do that without it being a crime? Can you do it without it being an assault? And I'm asking all these questions because historically speaking, yes, you can. Historically speaking, if it's in a practice room, no matter how elevated those things get, it stays right here. And there's checks and balances for that, such as if one guy gets hurt, the insurance policy that you file. The insurance company will look at it and historically say, yes, we will cover that. It was in the practice room, and the rest doesn't really even come into account. So I'm just sharing with you, like at what point does it become a crime? Because if they do that exact same thing and they do it not in the practice room, we're not even having a discussion whether it's a crime. These two guys agree that they're going to meet on the football field at 9 o'clock. They're going to meet behind the track at 3 o'clock. We're not even having a discussion. They're both arrested and we know it. And we know they are. Not to mention how bad Paddy's situation is going to be if the guy goes all the way out. But it's not like Dennis's hands are clean. Dennis punched him and kicked him too. I mean, they were fighting. So where do you stand on that? Can you do that? I mean, it really is an awkward situation. And Dennis was for it. Paddy was for it. Hey, Brian Ortega had his own thing a week prior to someone he was gaming with. I watched Roaj Jr. beat up, I think his name is called Sneeko. I watched a SEAL come in the room and go fisticuffs with Sean Strickland. I mean, I'm just sharing with you that historically, if it's in a room, but what do you guys think? I mean, if they agree. And at what point does the crime take place? Like, if you're saying, no, Chael, that's disgusting, they shouldn't have done it. Okay, great, I'm listening to you, but I want to know what point the crime takes place. If one of them is a member of the gym, one of them is a paying dues card-carrying member of the gym, and one of them is not, does that change things? Because we've already established, if they're in the room, they both agreed, everybody watching agreed, no adult stepped in, no punishment didn't come in, and for the most part, you guys are saying that was in the practice room and they agreed. Right, I'm with you on that, but we've also agreed if that exact same thing happens, and it happens in the crosswalk, a crime happened. So I'm just asking for the distinction. I have never understood for the life of me how hockey players are not arrested. I've just never got that. It is not within their rules. It is not accepted. They do not have a right to fight. They do not have the right to try to hurt one another. There is nothing within the bylaws or the rules. They don't have a state commission like, say, we do. There's a number of states where you can try to hurt that guy. It's called an unarmed combat. But it's a privileged license, and you got to go through the process. And I'm just sharing for you, nowhere in hockey do they have that. So once we establish that you can't fight in hockey, but they not only do it, they encourage it. And this came from jealousy. I would have guys that would go to hockey games, and they would love it, and they'd sit there for 4 hours. And like if a fight broke out, they would come to school the next day and they'd be so excited. Or if they were getting ready to go to a game later that night, they'd be so excited because these two might fight. Like on the outside chance that a pitter-pat fight might break out, you can bring in arenas to watch a hockey game, which otherwise is very painfully boring. But you couldn't guarantee to do a cage fight and guarantee the same size of an audience where a fight was assured to break out. It was just an interesting concept. And there is something very compelling about two professionals that are not supposed to be fighting who do fight. Like, I do get that. But I've never understood how hockey and the referees, and they can stand back and everybody lets it go. It's a crime. And nowhere over time have police that watch it happen gone onto the ice and arrested a guy. Never. My goal here isn't to come down on hockey, but if those same guys were to do that and it was not on the ice, like where that became the accepted environment, well, the action is not acceptable. So, Paddy versus Dennis, two men, played a game, and they finished their game. Are you okay with that?